Warrior, I urge you, let's get some of the housework out of the way at the top of this video, because once I start talking, I generally do not stop. Please subscribe to this channel. Please hit that little bell so you'll be notified. Also, I need likes. I want to build community. After all, our Warriors hashtag is community creates change. We want to get this information that you most likely are hearing no place else out to you. And then we want you to share these videos, or at least talk about these issues, or go on your social media platforms. And I always put social media in those kind of air quotes because it could be considered anti-social media, but let's leave that for another program. I am honored that you join me. I am honored that you want to spend time and learn. I welcome all of your comments. Please always write to us if you have any questions, lynn@lynswarriors.org. Let's get into discussing Belgium. Now you might be thinking, Belgium? Usually at the Warriors, we are always focused right here on what is happening in America, our own backyard. This is where the need is. You know, we'd like to focus on the entire globe and help everybody, but we just can't. The most important issue is right here in America, protecting our children, educating families, sharing with you how to do that, and how to do that for free, because we know everybody's overwhelmed economically. So we try to give out as many free tips and guidance as we can do. Here's what I want to say to you. Belgium, follow along. In 2022, they decriminalized the sex trade. What does that mean? People in prostitution could work freely. Pimps, traffickers, whatever. What they did not hold accountable, though, they did not want people making actual contracts, pimp and prostitute. Fast forward to just last week, they entirely really went out of their way to decriminalize the sex trade, because now in Belgium, we have something called the pimp contracts. Pimp contracts. A pimp, government sanctioned and supported, can make a contract with a prostitute. What does this mean? It means that if that prostitute does not uphold this contract in any way, shape, or form, the pimp can go to the government, and the government of Belgium mediates between the pimp and the prostituted person. I say prostituted person because we have studies that show upwards of 97% of people in the sex trade do not want to be there. That means they were forced, coerced. That is a definition of human trafficking. So think about that one. But we have government-sanctioned pimp contracts, and the government will enforce them, meaning a person will, once they sign this contract, a person will be forced to perform any of those duties they have outlined. If they're not providing them, they are forced. I keep saying the word forced because, again, that is an example of human trafficking. I'm telling you all of this because behind the scenes here in the United States, there's a lot of this talk. Pimp contracts. If we have this full decriminalization of the sex trade, not only will you see children behind glass windows, I'm convinced I'm going to see it here in New York City where I live, in Times Square. In the next couple of years, we will have the government forcing because there is such a push for this sex worker, a term we don't use. We don't believe sex is work, work is sex, forcing them to perform these duties. Now, remember what I just told you. Upwards of 97% different studies say they don't want to be in the sex trade. So what are we going to do about it? We're going to follow this. We're going to keep an eye on this. Because remember, everything we do at the Warriors, there's so many different issues. We want to protect our children. We don't want our children growing up to think they can become this sex worker that the media fully pushes, that entertainment, that music, that everybody, and now governments are saying it's okay. What does this say about protecting our children? You can grow up and be a doctor, nurse, teacher, sex worker. It is unacceptable. Think about it. Anything with children, unacceptable in the sex trade. I tell you this because I'm sure you know this already. The United States seemingly is going into this whole global environment. At least that is being pushed upon us, so we don't stand alone, as this power in the world. You see it, I know, I see it. And I see this molding of wanting to make adults and children as one. The more they keep putting this content out here, it's okay to grow up and be a sex worker. You're habituated, you're normalized to all of this, right? We've been seeing it definitely in the entertainment field, where people are inundated with sexual content. Now, this is not about being a prude. Keep in mind, we are talking about our precious children. If this is what they are seeing, hearing, and growing up with, they'll think it's completely normal. After all, I'll say 30s and under, born in the online digital age, it's not their fault. They've grown up with devices. Remember, they have access, 9 to 17-year-olds with 4 different devices in their homes, gaming consoles, phones, laptops, Chromebooks, computer monitors. It's all around them. Again, when you're just inundated with this type of content, pornography, the mind, the teen mind, the child mind is not fully developed. You know this. And they're absorbing all of this. And it will take flight in some way or the other. But we cannot have, when I'm looking at Belgium, and the media here really didn't cover this at all. I have to get these stories from foreign media because they cover them intensely. The UK right now is doing a much better job with child protection legislation, phones in schools, protecting a minor than we're doing in the United States. As a matter of fact, the UK, now if you go to my Twitter, my Facebook, also our website, lynswarriors.org, I posted this recent study from the UK saying 300 million children worldwide are involved in the sex trade. 1 in 9 American men, according to this study, we have to do a little research. I want to see, a couple of more where exactly these studies were taken, but it's a pretty solid study. 1 in 9 American men admit to something sexual with a child, whether that's in real time, online. And another group admit, a very high number, they would certainly engage in this sort of behavior if they knew they could get away with it. Now, if this is indeed true, this is horrific. This is the true epidemic. This is the true destabilization of family life. People. So we have to get a grip on this. You have to be aware. And that's why I'm always urging you, follow Lynn's Warriors. See what's happening. You cannot do anything unless you educate yourself first. And then make sure you're educating your child as we go into the summer months and children are home from school. They are more apt to have free time on their hands. So we suggest get them away from those devices. Start with the 15 minutes a day and work it up. Get the kids involved in something. We'll be launching so many more initiatives going forward. We have our Warriors Youth Council. Get them involved in arts, music, painting. We have a new collaboration here in New York City with Paint Me Bear Studios down in Soho. Kids need to create, draw. They tell their stories and certainly their feelings through pictures. Let them color. The older kids, get them involved in nature, walking. Just, if you get them involved in nothing, get them involved in talking to you. Open and honest communication. You got to start in a car ride, start at the kitchen table. Once a day, go to their room, ask them, how are you feeling today? What are you doing today? Ask them questions about online. Be your own focus group. Form that family digital partnership. So again, I'll post that article I found about Belgium because I really want you to understand this, because it's really the precursor to what I see percolating here in the United States. Pimp contracts. Whoever thought we'd even have to talk about this? Whoever thought, what if a woman is sick and cannot? I don't want to say perform. That is not the correct word, because all of this to me is abuse, is criminality. She is then forced into the sex act because she has a contract, and it's called the pimp contract. Think about all of this. Community creates change. Always think about protecting yourself, your families, your children. Educate, engage, empower. We can do it if we stick together. And remember each and every day, go out and be a warrior.